She was supposed to be a joke, a pretty face, a manager who smiled and waved and looked good in photos but would never be taken seriously as an actual in-ring competitor. They laughed at her. They dismissed her. They said Maxxine Dupri would never be championship material. They were dead wrong. And now as Maxxine stands tall as your reigning champion, as she's proven every single doubter wrong, as she's shown that heart and determination can overcome years of pedigree and experience, she faces her biggest test yet. Because Natalya, the Queen of Hearts, the veteran with decades of experience, the woman who has forgotten more about wrestling than most of the current roster will ever know, just threw down the gauntlet. And when Natalya targets you, when she decides that your championship should be hers, when she makes it her personal mission to prove that you're not worthy of carrying gold, your reign doesn't just face a threat. It faces Judgment Day. What you're about to witness is the story of how Maxxine Dupri went from being the underdog champion nobody believed into being a target for one of the most dangerous technical wrestlers in WWE history. This is about respect. This is about legacy. This is about a champion who refuses to let anyone tell her she doesn't belong. And when Maxxine grabbed that microphone and called out Natalya directly, looking her dead in the eyes and saying, "I'll defend this title against anyone," the wrestling world realized that this champion isn't just lucky. She's fearless. Let's rewind and talk about how we got here, because Maxxine's journey to championship gold is one of the most unlikely stories in recent WWE history. When Maximum Male Models first appeared on WWE television, Maxxine was the manager, the valet, the woman who stood on the outside while Mansoor and Mace struck poses and tried to make modeling the most ridiculous gimmick on television. Nobody took her seriously as a wrestler. Why would they? She hadn't been developed through NXT like most of the women's roster. She didn't have years of independent experience to fall back on. She was a model-turned-manager who looked like she'd never taken a real bump in her life. The expectations were non-existent. The ceiling seemed incredibly low. But here's what nobody counted on: Maxxine's hunger. While other managers were content to stay on the outside, Maxxine started training, started learning, started pushing herself to become more than what she was supposed to be. She didn't just want to look good standing at ringside, she wanted to compete. And when she finally got her opportunities to actually wrestle, something incredible happened. She was good. Not just good for someone without much experience. Actually, legitimately good. Athletic. Willing to take risks. Showing improvement every single time she stepped through those ropes. The crowd started to connect with her. They saw the underdog story playing out in real time. They watched someone with everything stacked against her work her ass off to prove she belonged. They started believing in Maxxine Dupri. And then she won the championship. The moment was electric. The emotion was real. Maxxine standing in that ring with tears streaming down her face, clutching the title like it was the most precious thing in the world, because to her, it was. She had done the impossible. The manager had become the champion. But here's the thing about being an underdog champion: the target on your back becomes massive. Every veteran in the locker room looks at you and thinks she got lucky. She had one hot moment. She won't be able to defend that title against real competition. Every contender circles like sharks who smell blood in the water, convinced that taking the title from the inexperienced champion will be easy. And Natalya? Natalya saw Maxxine's championship reign as an insult to everything she's built in her career. Let's talk about Natalya Neidhart for a moment. The daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the niece of Bret the Hitman Hart, wrestling royalty running through her veins, a woman who has been in WWE for over 15 years, a former champion multiple times over, one of the most accomplished female wrestlers in company history. Natalya has earned her legendary status. She's put in the work. She's paid the dues. She's been a foundation of the women's division through multiple eras. She's mentored younger talent. She's been a professional through good booking and bad. But here's where it gets complicated. Natalya has been spinning her wheels lately. No major storylines. No significant momentum. Respected but not featured the way a wrestler of her caliber deserves to be. And then she looks at Maxxine Dupri, a relative rookie holding championship gold, and something inside Natalya snaps. Not jealousy, exactly, but frustration. Resentment that someone with a fraction of her experience is getting opportunities that Natalya has to fight and claw for. A sense that the wrestling business has passed her by in favor of performers who haven't put in decades of work. So Natalya decided to do something about it. She decided to take what she believes should be hers. She decided that Maxxine's championship reign needs to end, and that she's the one to end it. Question for you right out of the gate: is Natalya right to feel disrespected by Maxxine holding gold, or is she being a bitter veteran? Drop your take below. The segment on Raw started innocently enough. Maxxine was cutting a promo about her championship reign, talking about how much the title means to her, how she's going to be a fighting champion, how she's ready to defend against all comers and prove that her victory wasn't a fluke. The crowd was eating it up. They love Maxxine's underdog story. They want to see her succeed against all odds. They're invested in her journey. And then Natalya's music hit. The arena's energy shifted immediately. This wasn't going to be a friendly veteran offering encouragement to a younger champion. This was a challenge. A threat. Natalya walked to the ring with purpose. Her expression wasn't friendly, it was cold, calculating. The look of a predator who has identified prey and is preparing to strike. When she got in Maxxine's face, the size difference was noticeable. Natalya has been doing this for so long that her presence alone is intimidating. She carries herself with the confidence of someone who has nothing to prove and everything to take. And then she spoke. Maxxine, congratulations on your championship. Really? It's quite an accomplishment for someone with your limited experience. The condescension was palpable. The disrespect was dripping from every word. But let's be honest here. You're holding that title because you got lucky. Because the stars aligned. Because you had one moment where everything went right. But luck runs out. Moments fade. And reality? Reality is that you're in over your head. The crowd started to boo. They weren't having Natalya's disrespect. But Natalya didn't care. She was just getting started. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've wrestled on every continent. I've won championships. I've main event pay-per-views. I'm a third-generation wrestler with the Hart family legacy running through my veins. And you? You were a model who decided to play wrestler. The words hit like bullets. Each one designed to cut deeper than the last. Each one targeting Maxxine's insecurities about her lack of experience. Each one questioning whether she deserves to hold that championship. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me a title match. And I'm going to show you and everyone watching what real wrestling looks like. I'm going to take that championship that you're clinging to, and I'm going to restore some credibility to a title that's being embarrassed by an amateur wearing it around her waist. The disrespect was total. The challenge was clear. And the entire arena was waiting to see how Maxxine would respond. Here's where Maxxine could have folded. Where the pressure could have crushed her. Where the voice of every doubter could have echoed in her head and made her question whether she really belongs in this position. But that's not what happened. Instead, Maxxine stepped forward. Got right in Natalya's face. And when she spoke, her voice was steady. Strong. Unwavering. You think I don't know what people say about me, Natalya? You think I haven't heard every version of "she doesn't deserve it" and "she got lucky" since the moment I won this championship? The emotion was real. You could hear it in her voice. But it wasn't weakness, it was fuel. I've been underestimated my entire life. People look at me and they see what they want to see: a pretty face, a model, someone who doesn't belong in a wrestling ring. But you know what I see when I look in the mirror? A champion. Someone who worked her ass off to get here. Someone who refuses to let anyone tell her she's not good enough. The crowd was erupting now. They could feel the fire building. They could sense that this wasn't just a promo, this was personal. You want a title match, Natalya? You want to prove that your 15 years of experience makes you better than me? You want to take this championship and restore credibility to it. Maxxine held the championship up high, the gold gleaming under the arena lights. You got it. I'll defend this title against you. I'll step into that ring and I'll prove that I'm not here because I got lucky. I'm here because I earned it. And when I beat you, when I pin your shoulders to the mat or make you tap out, everyone will know that Maxxine Dupri isn't just a champion. I'm a fighting champion who doesn't back down from anybody. Real talk, do you think Maxxine has any chance against a veteran like Natalya? Or is she about to lose that title and learn a hard lesson? Vote in the comments. The stare down that followed was intense. Two women from completely different worlds, completely different backgrounds, completely different career trajectories, standing face to face with a championship hanging in the balance. Natalya had the smirk of someone who believes victory is inevitable. The confidence of a veteran who has seen this movie before and knows how it ends. The certainty that experience always beats enthusiasm in the end. But Maxxine? Maxxine had something even more powerful than experience. She had belief. The unshakable conviction that she belongs in this moment. The refusal to accept that her story ends here. The determination to prove that champions aren't made by how long they've been wrestling, they're made by how hard they're willing to fight. This match is set. The challenge has been accepted. And the entire women's division is watching to see whether the underdog champion can defy the odds one more time, or whether the veteran is about to reclaim what she believes should have always been hers. Let's break down what makes this matchup so fascinating from a storytelling perspective. On paper, Natalya should win this match easily. She's bigger. She's stronger. She's more experienced. She knows more holds and counterholds than Maxxine has probably even seen, let alone learned. She's been in high-pressure championship matches dozens of times while Maxxine is still relatively new to defending gold. The technical wrestling advantage goes to Natalya by a mile. The psychology of mat wrestling. The submission expertise Natalya's sharpshooter is one of the most devastating finishing moves in WWE history, a hold that has made countless opponents tap out over the years. If this match becomes a pure wrestling clinic, Maxxine is in trouble. But here's what makes Maxxine dangerous: she doesn't play by traditional rules. She's not trying to out-wrestle Natalya at her own game. She's fast. She's athletic. She's willing to take risks that a veteran would never take. She fights with the desperation of someone who knows that losing means proving all the doubters right. Maxxine's advantage is her unpredictability. Natalya has wrestled everyone. She's seen every style. She can counter moves in her sleep because she's been doing this for so long. But Maxxine? Maxxine is still developing her style. Still inventing herself. Still figuring out what kind of wrestler she wants to be. And that makes her dangerous in a way that Natalya might not be prepared for. Plus, there's the intangible factor, heart. Maxxine has everything to lose. This championship represents the culmination of a journey that nobody believed was possible. It's the validation that she's more than what people assumed she was. It's the proof that hard work and determination can overcome lack of experience. If she loses this title to Natalya, the narrative becomes she had a nice moment, but reality set in. The story becomes about how the veteran put the rookie in her place. The dream dies. That kind of pressure either breaks you or makes you transcendent. And everything we've seen from Maxxine suggests she's not the type to break. Let's talk about the wider implications of this match, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. The women's division in WWE right now is in a state of flux. There are multiple storylines playing out simultaneously. Multiple contenders all fighting for position. Multiple veterans and up-and-comers all trying to establish themselves as the top star. Maxxine's championship reign represents something different. It's not the typical trajectory of NXT star gets called up, gets pushed, wins title. It's not the veteran finally getting their moment after years of waiting. It's the true underdog story, someone who wasn't supposed to ever be in this position achieving the impossible. And the wrestling world is watching to see if that type of story can be sustained, or if it was just a feel-good moment that reality is about to crush. If Maxxine beats Natalya, if she successfully defends her championship against a legitimate legend, it sends a message. It tells every young wrestler out there that the traditional path isn't the only way. It tells the audience that WWE is willing to take chances on unexpected stars. It validates the belief that anything is possible if you want it badly enough. But if Natalya wins? If experience and technical superiority prove to be too much for Maxxine to overcome? Then the message is different. Then it becomes enjoy your moment while it lasts, because the established order always reasserts itself eventually. Both outcomes tell a story. Both outcomes have meaning, but the emotional impact of each is wildly different. Here's where we need to talk about Natalya's motivations, because they're more complex than just veteran wants championship. Natalya has spent the better part of the last few years watching women she helped train become the faces of the division. She's watched former students main event WrestleMania while she's been working mid-card matches with minimal storyline investment. She's been professional about it. She's never complained publicly. She's continued to work hard and be a good soldier for the company. But you can't tell me that doesn't eat at her. You can't tell me there isn't resentment building. And now here comes Maxxine Dupri, someone who didn't come through the traditional system, who didn't spend years perfecting her craft on the independent scene or in the performance center, and she's holding championship gold while Natalya fights for scraps. From Natalya's perspective, this isn't just about winning a title. This is about respect. This is about proving that experience and legacy matter. This is about showing that you can't just skip the line and be handed success without putting in the decades of work that she has. Natalya wants to restore order to a division that she feels has lost its way. And if that means absolutely destroying Maxxine Dupri in the process and ending her fairy tale reign, then that's exactly what Natalya is prepared to do. Quick question: is Natalya being a bitter veteran clinging to past glory, or is she rightfully standing up for the value of experience and paying your dues? I want to hear both sides in the comments. The build to this match is going to be electric. You can already feel it. Every promo Natalya cuts is going to be dripping with condescension and disrespect. She's going to pick apart every flaw in Maxxine's game. She's going to question whether Maxxine has the heart to withstand the pressure of defending that title against someone who actually knows what they're doing. Natalya is going to be ruthless in her psychological warfare. She's going to try to get inside Maxxine's head and make her doubt herself. She's going to plant seeds of insecurity that might bloom into panic when the lights are brightest and the stakes are highest. But here's what Natalya might not be accounting for: Maxxine has been doubted her entire life. She's heard every variation of "you're not good enough" and "you don't belong here." She's been underestimated so many times that it doesn't faze her anymore. Instead, it fuels her. Every time Natalya questions her credentials, Maxxine is going to work harder. Every time Natalya dismisses her chances, Maxxine is going to get more determined. Every insult is just another log on the fire burning inside her to prove everyone wrong. And that's what makes this storyline so compelling. Both women have legitimate motivations. Both women have valid perspectives. Both women deserve to win for different reasons. Let's game out what the match itself might look like, because the styles are so different that it's going to create fascinating dynamics. Natalya is going to try to make this a technical showcase. She's going to want to ground Maxxine, work over a body part systematically, build toward the sharpshooter as an inevitable conclusion. Classic wrestling psychology. Methodical, brutal, effective. If Natalya can control the pace and keep Maxxine on the mat, this match is over. Maxxine doesn't have the submission defense skills to survive long in a hold as devastating as the sharpshooter. If Natalya locks it in center ring with nowhere for Maxxine to go, the title reign ends. But Maxxine's strategy has to be different. She needs to keep the match fast, keep it chaotic, use her athleticism and speed to stay one step ahead of Natalya's technical prowess. Hit and run tactics, high-risk maneuvers that keep Natalya off balance and unable to impose her game plan. If Maxxine can avoid getting trapped in submission holds, if she can use her quickness to create offense, if she can hit one big move at the right moment, she has a chance. The match becomes a battle of wills as much as a battle of skills. Natalya trying to impose her veteran wisdom and technical superiority versus Maxxine trying to survive long enough to steal a victory through heart and determination. There's another layer to this story that we need to address: the crowd. The audience is going to be heavily in Maxxine's corner. They love the underdog story. They've invested in her journey. They want to see her succeed against the odds. And that crowd support can be a weapon. It can energize Maxxine when she's taking a beating. It can give her the strength to kick out of pin attempts when her body is screaming at her to just stay down. It can create an atmosphere of belief that makes the impossible seem possible. But it can also be a burden. The pressure of not wanting to disappoint those fans who believe in you. The fear of failure becoming even more intense because you know how badly everyone wants you to win. The weight of expectation crushing down on your shoulders in the biggest moment of your career. How Maxxine handles that pressure will determine whether she keeps her championship or becomes just another story about a rookie who wasn't ready for the moment. Let's talk about what happens to both women depending on the outcome, because the implications are massive either way. If Maxxine wins, her reign gets legitimized. She goes from being the lucky champion to being the proven champion. She adds a scalp to her resume that nobody can dismiss. She beat a legend, a Hall of Fame caliber wrestler, a technical master. That victory becomes the foundation for everything that comes next in her championship reign. Suddenly, Maxxine isn't just the feel-good story. She's a legit champion who can hang with anyone. Other contenders have to take her seriously. Her confidence skyrockets. Her improvement accelerates because she knows she can compete at the highest level. The underdog story continues, but now with the added element of she's actually really good instead of just she has heart. That's a crucial evolution for her character. But for Natalya, it's devastating. Not just losing, but losing to someone she publicly dismissed as unworthy. Losing to someone with a fraction of her experience. Losing in a match that was supposed to prove her superiority. Does Natalya spiral? Does she become obsessed with getting revenge? Does this loss send her into a dark place where she questions her own value and relevance? Or does she gracefully accept defeat and acknowledge that she underestimated her opponent, becoming the veteran who puts over the next generation rather than clinging to past glory? Either direction creates stories. If Natalya wins, Maxxine's reign ends, but her story doesn't necessarily end with it. Losing to Natalya isn't shameful, it's losing to one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Maxxine can walk away with her head held high knowing she gave everything she had. The question becomes, how does she respond to that loss? Does she crumble, proving that maybe she wasn't ready for this level after all? Or does she come back more determined, treating this as a learning experience that makes her better? The loss could actually strengthen her character if it's handled right. It becomes, I wasn't ready yet, but I will be, instead of, I never deserved it in the first place. For Natalya, winning validates everything she's been saying. Experience matters. Technical skill matters. Paying your dues matters. She reclaims championship gold and restores what she sees as proper order to the division. But does that make her a heel? Does the crowd resent her for crushing their underdog hero? Does Natalya become the villain of this story even though from her perspective, she's the righteous one? That's the beauty of good wrestling storytelling. There are no purely good or purely evil characters. Just people with different motivations and perspectives, colliding in a way that creates drama. Here's what we know for certain going into this match. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Maxxine, this is about proving she belongs. For Natalya, this is about reclaiming respect and relevance. Both women have everything to gain and everything to lose. The match is going to be a clash of styles. Technical mastery versus athletic desperation. Experience versus hunger. The established order versus the new guard. The emotion is going to be real. This isn't just another match on the card. This is personal for both competitors. The passion and intensity are going to be palpable. And the outcome, whatever it ends up being, is going to have ripple effects throughout the entire women's division for months to come. Let's zoom out and talk about why stories like this matter in professional wrestling. At its core, this is about belief. About whether you think hard work and determination can overcome natural talent and experience. About whether you think the underdog deserves their moment or whether they're just borrowing time until reality reasserts itself. These are universal themes that resonate with audiences because we've all been the underdog at some point in our lives. We've all been told we're not good enough. We've all had to prove ourselves against people with more experience, more credentials, more advantages than us. When we watch Maxxine fight to keep her championship against someone who should beat her on paper, we're not just watching a wrestling match. We're watching our own struggles reflected back at us. We're investing in the idea that we can overcome our own obstacles if we just fight hard enough. That's the power of pro wrestling when it's done right. It's not just about the moves and the athleticism, though those matter. It's about the stories that make us feel something, that make us care about the outcome, that make us believe in something bigger than just a predetermined fight. Final question before we wrap this up: who are you emotionally invested in winning, Maxxine, the underdog champion trying to prove herself, or Natalya, the veteran fighting for respect and recognition? Your heart, not your head. Comment below. As we head toward this championship match, the anticipation is building. Every interview adds fuel to the fire. Every social media exchange raises the stakes. Every training video shows both women preparing for what might be the biggest match of their careers. Maxxine is working